All right, welcome everyone. So how today is going to work is we're not going to be doing breakout rooms. We're just going to have all our different state officer candidates have a time slot, and everyone's going to stay in the main session. It's going to be a pretty chill event. You'll be able to use the chat or unmute yourself to ask questions for your state officer candidates, and each will have around 5 to 6 minutes. In addition to that, we want to apologize for the last minute switch up because things did not end up working out with GatherTown, but we hope you have a fun night tonight and get to know your candidates a little bit better. All right, MJ, whenever you have the first candidate, just let us know.
Okay, I have the first one. Okay, so first up, we have Miss Madison Palmer.
So for any of the delegates that are on, if you guys have any questions for our candidates that we have on today, just go ahead and ask them. You can go ahead and unmute yourself or put it in the chat, something just to get to know your candidates so that when voting day comes, you guys are well informed and know who you want to represent you. Also, us state officers, we will have a few backup questions and we might try to get the conversation kickstarted off a little bit. But if you guys have questions for the state officer candidates, go ahead and drop them in the chat or unmute yourself.
Yeah, so hello, my name is Madison Palmer, and I am a sophomore. I go to Wiley East High School. I am in the criminal justice career path at my school, and I play soccer. I used to play volleyball in 8th grade, but that didn't really work out very well for me. I have a black lab Belgian Shepherd mixed dog named Marley, and then I have like my orange cat. I don't really know what he is, and his name's Leo. And then in my free time, I like to just relax. And then right now I've been watching The Queen's Gambit on Netflix, and that show's really good so far, but I haven't finished it. So yeah.
All right, Madison, I think Mr. Jennings asked, Madison, why are you here?
I am here because I'm wanting to become a state officer. So I'm wanting to not only push myself to become a better leader and work with other people and be a better team member, but I also want to help others gain the confidence to be an active member in SkillsUSA so that they can represent this organization like I have. Brielle, I decided to join SkillsUSA because I was really pushed into it. So my advisor heavily suggested it to me, and I was really hesitant at first, but I stuck with it, and I compete in crime scene investigation as my competition for SkillsUSA, and I have a really good team, and so just like the bonding with my team members and the people at my school that are in SkillsUSA is what really made me stick with it.
Awesome. And do we have any follow-up questions for Madison? Okay, how has being in activities such as soccer helped you grow and perform within SkillsUSA? And that was from Emily Zapata.
Okay, Emily, so it's kind of, I guess, sort of reverse. So I've sometimes been like in my shell a little bit, but SkillsUSA has helped me open up and become more of a leader. So I've taken that to soccer instead of me being in soccer, me taking that to SkillsUSA. But I guess they both bounce off of each other because since I'm on varsity this year, this is my first year on varsity, and I was like really like kind of like scared because I didn't know how like the upperclassmen were gonna be, but I've learned through SkillsUSA how to put myself out there, and I've learned through soccer how to be a great team member and working off of each other and being just an overall team player.
Great. So does anyone have a question?
Yeah.
You said you play soccer. What position do you play?
So, yeah. So I've played defense my entire life. And then last year, midway through the year, my coach was like, hey, I've heard you played goalie before, which I had for like one season. And they're like, do you want to play goalie? And I was like, you know what? Why not? I'll try something new. And so I started like playing like, I guess, backup goalie last year. And then this year I was moved up to varsity and played backup goalie for there. So that was really fun. It was a really good experience.
Okay, so I have a question. One of the biggest, most important things about being an officer this year has been maintaining a balance between Skills USA, all my homework at school, and also recreation. So how do you maintain a balance in your life between your responsibilities and sort of that fun time you get to yourself?
So for me, I used to be really bad about like time management. It's like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do this. So I would like overwhelm myself, but I've gotten into a system where I would plan out my day accordingly and have certain days where I would just focus on homework and certain days where I would just focus on Skills USA. And then I will cut out increments of time where I can just relax and take a break and be like, this is for me. I'm not going to let anybody bother me. I'm going to go out and then get some boba and just relax for a little bit and then come back and focus on my work and different Skills USA activities so that I can put in all of my efforts into something instead of just spreading it out constantly.
So I actually have a quick question. Kind of going off of the time management thing, one thing that I've had to deal with as a state officer is how to balance other extracurriculars. For example, I'm in debate. You said you were in soccer. How do you plan to manage that? And if there ever comes a conflict, where would Skills USA fall?
So this actually happened to me last year during district competition. So I had a soccer game against Sherman High School, and unfortunately I had to miss it so I could attend district competition. And truly I don't regret it because I was able to experience district competition, which was a fun event for me. But where like my responsibilities lie, time management is really important. So my coaches are really flexible. They're very great. And so I've talked to them before about, hey, can I leave practice early to join Zoom calls? Or, hey, is it okay if I just work on schoolwork? And they are completely for the player and for what they want to do because they realize that soccer is an extracurricular, but academics come first.
I have a question. So what career pathway are you in?
I'm in the criminal justice.
Okay, I am too. So we can relate, right? Like we have a bonding tie.
Yeah.
How do you plan on relating to other members from different career pathways that aren't in yours?
That's a really good question. So I find it a good way to relate to other members in other pathways by not just relating through Skills USA, but different, I guess, things that I do outside of school. So I'm also like inquire at my school. And so I've talked to other members. It's like, hey, you're in Skills USA, but what else do you do? How can we relate other than just like this great organization? How can we also relate on a personal level as well and branch off of that?
I've got a question.
Yeah.
So you said you're in criminal justice, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. What are your career plans for after high school, and how do you think Skills USA will be able to help you?
Okay, so as of right now, I'm kind of wanting to go like into like the social work, like child protective services route. And I didn't know that until like this school year, but I'm kind of just like thinking that's the path that I'm wanting to go down. And so Skills USA will help me with that by developing my confidence and my communication skills. So if I'm wanting to go into child protective services, communication skills are going to be very, very important so I can make sure I'm talking professionally, like professionalism, and making sure all the right information is being relayed instead of misinterpretation. So that's how Skills USA is going to help me by just developing different aspects of the framework.
All right, thank you.
Of course.
All right, we have one last question for you, and it's in the chat from Ellie Cortez, and she asked, what would you tell someone who is unsure about joining Skills USA?
So Ellie, I would tell them my experience. So I was really unsure at first. I was pretty skeptical, but I would just say go for it. What's the worst that could happen to you where it's a program that betters yourself, just like sports or other academics, choir, band. It's there to help you better yourself, and it's wanting to push you. But what's different about SkillsUSA is that it's focused on your immediate career, what you want to do specifically after high school. And I just think that's just such a cool way to have an organization where it's basically paving the way for your future.
That's great. All right. We'll get back to you. You did awesome. Now, the next person is Leslie Vasquez. So whenever y'all are ready.
Hi everyone, I'm Leslie Vasquez. Nice to meet you all. Finally, some faces.
Hi, Leslie. Just to get things started off, tell us just a little bit about yourself. And I really like how Mr. Jennings put it. Why are you here?
Yeah, that's Jennings. He's short and straight to the point. Hi everyone, I'm Leslie Vasquez and I go to the Judge Bedford Sanders Law Magnet. I am currently a junior, ready to be a senior. I am the oldest sibling. I have a little puppy. Her name is Amindra, and she's the cutest little thing. And in my free time, I like to bake and dance. Oh, as for Jennings' question, I am here because I am also running to become one of your next state officers. I have seen firsthand how this organization has helped me along with other members. And it would be a great honor to be able to represent this organization on the state level.
All right, we have a question in the chat from Aaron Kazeda. What can you contribute to the state officer team?
Thank you for your question, Aaron. I believe that something I can contribute to the state officer team would be my level-headedness. I like balance, and in a team that's often very useful because conflicts are bound to arise because everyone has different personalities and it's not necessarily a bad thing. So if elected, I think I would be able to bring my balance and be able to listen to both aspects and come with a solution that can incorporate both of them because there's no I in team. My favorite thing to bake, I love chocolate chip cookies. I've tried so many different recipes, some where you put in like a fridge and then some that you like mix it without melting the butter and then some with melting the butter. There's all types of recipes. And I think the best one is like when you don't melt the butter and it's softened because it's chewy. I like chewy cookies, not hard ones.
That was impressive. You got Dr. Taylor to turn his camera on.
Yep.
But chocolate chip cookies are the way to my heart.
Fresh baked though.
Yeah, of course.
How can you relate baking chocolate chip cookies to becoming a better leader?
Well, with chocolate chip cookies, you have to be very precise, or with baking in general, you have to be very, very precise about how much of a certain ingredient you put in, or how you mix things together, or how much time. As a future leader, you have to be very precise about where you're going and where exactly you want to lead the organization. So I believe that by baking, you also have to be very. You have to trust the process because at the beginning, nothing's gonna look good, but with time and with work, it turns out great in the end.
I agree with the process part 100%. Ooh, I thought I heard someone unmute. Did they know it was just my imagination? Okay, we have another question from the chat. Andrea Aguilera. What is the most important life lesson you have learned through running for office or competing in different competitions?
So thank you, Andrea, for your question. I would definitely have to say the most important life lesson I've learned is to not let fear get in the way. Sometimes for me, I get a little scared about if I'm going to get not like a certain outcome or the process or if I'm going to be able to do it. And I've learned that sometimes you just have to go with it and trust yourself. And whatever happens for a reason. Regardless, there's a process and you learn certain things along the way.
Awesome. And was Vanessa Ramos's question answered? How do you like to spend your time with Amindra?
So Almendra is very energetic since she's a little puppy. So she loves jumping on me and like eating my hair ties, like literally physically pulling them out of my hair. So what I've learned to do is I just have to grab like a little squeaky ball and just throw it at her. And then she like brings it back. And it's the most amazing thing because she's so energetic. I love her. Who is a person you admire in your life and why? This question it always makes me want to cry. And it's simply because it's my mom. I love my mom. She's the best thing in my life. I'm not gonna cry. Oh my God. So, my mother's a very hardworking person, and she's always tried. Can I take a sip of water?
Yeah, of course. Take your time.
Okay. So my mom is a very hardworking person, and she's always tried to like give me the best life I could have. This always comes in the way. I just truly love her because she showed me that anything that you put your mind to, you can do. This is so embarrassing. I'm sorry.
Don't be embarrassed. It sounds like you have a great role model to look up to.
I'm okay. Thank you, Emily, for the question. I would have to say that my biggest weakness is that I am my worst critic. I know I said this on my online campaigning, and what I mean by this is that I have high standards for myself, and when I tend to do something wrong, because we're humans, it's bound to happen, I often bring myself down a little bit. But I've learned to realize that with everything, every obstacle you face, you can always come back from it, because everyone makes mistakes, but what matters is how you pick yourself up from those mistakes. Something that, don't cry my cookie. Something that I've learned to do is go back and see where things went wrong, what exactly could have been better and how it could have been fixed. And with that, you get to learn from your mistakes and better yourself as a person and as an officer.
I have a question. What is your favorite SkillsUSA memory?
My favorite skill, thank you for the question. My favorite SkillsUSA memory would be when I went to state, because we were not supposed to go because we did not place for a district, but we went to take a test, and we had a blast. I got to spend time with my friends, and something I clearly remember was when we went to the stadium, and there was people from all over Texas, singing, dancing, laughing, crying, and it was just an amazing experience because you got to see how no matter what district you are from, SkillsUSA has this bond that everyone just unites, and you are basically just one big family all over the United States.
All right. That was great, Leslie. Thank you. You don't have to feel bad about being emotional. I'm the most emotional person on this team, so they've seen someone cry at least once a month. Let's just move on. Now we have Jesus Medina.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jesus Medina. I'm a junior at the Judge Barefoot Sanders Law Magnet, and my career pathway is criminal justice. I also have a really deep passion for health occupations and nursing. So feel free to ask me any questions. I'm all ears.
All right, Jesus. I'm just going to go ahead and ask, what drew you to SkillsUSA? What encouraged you to run for a state office?
That's a very good question. Thank you, Troy. Well, what encouraged me to join SkillsUSA had to be the CPR and first aid competition. The school that I'm at currently wasn't my first choice. I originally wanted to go to a health-related school, but sadly I got rejected 2 times. But I ended up getting accepted there, and it was honestly one of the best things that could have ever happened to me, because I eventually found SkillsUSA, and from there I saw that they had a CPR and first aid competition, and it was just calling my name, and I knew I had to join. As for running for office, my friends and my peers really encouraged me to do so. They saw something in me that I didn't. I was really nervous and really anxious to do something, to talk in front of people. I didn't really know how to do it, but they saw that I was capable and encouraged me to do so. And eventually I ran for district office, and then I saw how amazing it is to talk to new people and listen to their stories in SkillsUSA. So that was one of the reasons I decided to run for office. Oh, I have a question in the chat. How did you persevere despite being rejected twice from, okay. So how I persevered had to be just telling myself that it just wasn't my time. It wasn't for me. And like Leslie said, I believe that everything happens for a reason. And because of that, I eventually joined SkillsUSA. How I handled being rejected was just telling myself that being rejected isn't the end of the world. Failure is just a greater opportunity to learn. And so I took that opportunity to myself to grow as a person and to understand that failing sometimes is okay. It's just how you come back from it. Thank you for the question. How have you seen yourself grow through SkillsUSA? Well, how I've seen myself grow through while in SkillsUSA has to be my ability to talk to people. I remember before I joined, I was extremely anxious to talk to new people, especially adults. I did not know what to say. I felt like I was always going to say the wrong thing or going to be super nervous and anxious and not being able to speak in front of them. I remember I would be afraid to talk to teachers. One time, I had to talk to my teacher about an assignment and I just couldn't do it. I couldn't build up the courage because I was super nervous. But while in SkillsUSA, I've learned that it's okay to talk to people, and I've learned how to use my words effectively and to sort of get rid of the nerves. They're still there, but I learned to suppress them and sort of accept them and understand that it's what matters, basically. Have you ever thought about dropping out of running for office? And if so, what made you keep going? There have been times where I've second guessed myself and told myself that, am I really good enough for this? But then I remember that I just have to keep myself going. I took what my friends told me to heart, and if they believed in me, then I can believe in myself. And I used that to my advantage. And I just kept telling myself that you're good enough, you're capable of doing this. You just have to set your mind to it. And that's exactly what I did. And I persevered. And thankfully, I'm here now. What's one of the biggest obstacles you face while running for office, and how will you overcome it? Like I said in the previous question, one biggest obstacle that I faced while running had to be myself. Sometimes I could be my own worst critic. I would always tell myself that I wasn't good enough. I wouldn't be able to do this, that I wouldn't have the abilities to do this effectively. But then I remembered that everybody else told me that I was so good, so why can't I believe in myself? I used that and I just kept telling myself that you're good enough, you're capable. And I understood that I had the abilities and I can continue to do this. So then these are, okay. Any more questions?
I have a question. What is something you enjoy doing on your free time?
Oh, okay, that's a very good question. Something I love doing in my free time has to be either playing with my dog or reading fantasy books or even writing fantasy books. I love to write when it comes to fantasy. I never really finished the book, but I'm usually in the process of writing it. Right now, I'm writing like 4 different books. Like, it just usually depends on the phase that I'm going through. I remember one time I had a Vampire Diaries phase and I wanted to write a book based upon that. And then I also had like a Harry Potter phase. We were talking about Harry Potter before here. I'm a Ravenclaw, by the way. But it just basically depends on what I'm used to, either what I want, if I want to read a book or if I want to continue writing. But writing is also a really nice thing that I like to do in my free time.
I have a question. What are 2 of your overall goals that you have for your term if you are elected?
That's a great question. Thank you. 2 overall goals I would have is to provide more resources at the chapter level. Sometimes chapters could be a little bit misinformed, and I want to provide those resources for them to be capable of, understanding what's going on and being capable of, succeeding within the organization. And another one is just to represent and hear the voices of the members. I really want to know their ideas and what they would like to do and what they would like to see within SkillsUSA Texas. And I want to bring that to light and sort of, emphasize on those ideas that they have. Do I have a favorite author? I don't think I do. I have too many books that I read, and sometimes, the different authors can get mixed in my head. But I do have a favorite book series, and that has to be Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. I just love the idea. It's sort of like X-Men, but different. And I just found it super interesting and a fun read.
All right, thank you so much, Jesus. Our next candidate that will be answering questions is Ms. Hannah Benavidez.
Okay, I just unmute. All right. Hello, I'm Hannah Benavidez, and I'm from District 13. And I just talk a little bit about myself, right? Yes. Okay. Thank you, Troy.
Yes,
okay.
ma'am.
My job pathway at school is AV, so I do a lot of filming for like sports and games, and our school has this whole TV station, KSBG TV, so we manage all like the editing for videos. And yeah, when I grow up, I want to become a screenplay writer, so that's really cool. I was born here in Texas, but I used to live in Los Angeles, California when I was younger, so I got to see my dad work as a screenplay writer in Los Angeles. But I love Texas. I do. So I'm still a Texas girl. But yeah, I got to see all that. And so that's the job pathway I'm going down. I'm also in my school's mixed choir. And also, oh, I thought you were talking about me in the chat for a minute. I'm not Dr. Taylor anyway. And I'm also, so I'm in choir and I'm also in the school dance team. We're called the Bells. So yeah.
Hannah, I think one of my favorite experiences in Skills USA was Legislative Day. And if y'all aren't familiar with what Legislative Day is, it's just kind of a day where a bunch of Skills USA members go to the state capitol and can do different debates on the House floor and just really kind of see how parliamentary process works in real life. But oftentimes when we're going in between floors of the Capitol, there'll be a representative or a business professional that gets on the elevator and says, I see a lot of y'all with those red suits. Tell me a little bit about them. So if you were in that situation, how would you describe the red suit to the person that asked the question?
Okay, so I was actually put in that situation. Well, I'm a 10th grader, but I became a district officer last year when I was running in 9th grade, and everything got shut down with Corona, of course. But before that happened, I actually got to have the opportunity. My advisor took me to Austin with the other district officers before I wasn't even running yet. And so I got to figure out how to work with my communication skills and talk to people like that. So we had like this whole plan. We're like, okay, we're going to tell them what this organization is about because it's like really awesome, right? So what I would say is we're a CTE program that helps students, high school students, learn about like how to prepare themselves for America's workforce. And we have a lot of competitions for people to use for their current, like their pathways they want to go down. And I see a lot of people going for criminal justice and AV like I am, but there's also people like doing plumbing competitions. So there's just like so many different things you can do and get all these accolades from all these competitions. And just as a district officer, you learn, like which we are with the red suits, you learn from the Skills USA framework with the personal skills and technical skills and workplace skills. So yeah, it's an organization that helps students prepare for their future job path.
All right. So hey Hannah. So I'm an audiovisual student too, and I think that's so awesome. So I was wondering what competition you compete in and how has your competition helped you prepare for the workforce?
Okay, so this is actually my first year that I've been competing in different competitions. So right now I'm in digital cinema for the movie filmmaking thing, which I have a little bit of experience from UIL with the filmmaking, but this one's different where it's like in 24 hours you write and film and then edit a movie. So I'm doing that, and that's this Thursday. And then I have one career pathways where we're going to talk about the AV organization and how we edit all our videos and how we just broadcast everything. And that's on the 20th. And learning about all these competitions definitely makes me want to do it next year and for the rest of my high school years. But also it's teaching me how to work with time management big time, because I'm really busy right now, especially with the other organizations I'm in. Like I just had to try out for the school dance team about I'm an actor. Yeah, that's awesome to hear. I'll keep that in mind. But yeah, so I had to try out for the high school dance team a week ago and then run for states like these past 2 weeks, and then the competitions on top of each other. So I bought myself a planner and I have like all these things. I remind myself on my phone, hey, you got to do this. So it's definitely teaching me a lot about work ethic. And that's like something in the framework. And it's helping me improve my skills little by little. But yeah, I want to continue to grow. Okay, the questions. Hi, Hannah. What would you say to someone who is unsure about joining Skills? Okay, so I was actually one of those people. I had no idea what SkillsUSA was in 9th grade, and not a lot of people do. Normally, I hear a lot of people joining when they're like sophomores. But yeah, it definitely scared me at first because I feel like I've grown my communication skills and just grown as a person ever since I joined, even though it's been like maybe a year and a half or so. But it is definitely worth it. It really helped me come out of my shell and just grow as a person. And beforehand, I had a lot of trouble like talking to people, like in big groups. I could never picture myself public speaking or even like this. I would have major anxiety, and it's really helped me with that. And it's made my outlook on graduating high school and getting into all that workforce a little less scary because I know I can be more prepared now. So yeah. Have you had a favorite project you worked on? Okay, yes. Okay, so recently I had mentioned I was in the UIL competition for film, and I it's only my first year, so I wasn't expecting it to make it that far, but I made it to the top 30 in the state for like films, which was awesome, right? And so yeah, I wrote a 3-minute film about insecurities and just kind of like self-image, and it was called Glamour Girl. And I had the script from a long time ago because I write a lot of scripts like that. And the premise was basically this girl cutting out all these like newspaper models, parts of their faces, and stitching it onto like a cardboard mask and just wearing it around, basically kind of foreshadowing like society, how they want you to look like and everything. And I was like really proud of that. I want to continue to do that and make innovative scripts like that because it was really fun competing. Yeah.
Hey, Hannah. So this is going to be your last question because what you were saying was really interesting.
That was long.
So I'm going to do something different. I have a problematic. It's my favorite problematic ever. And it's kind of fitting because you're an AV student. It's not going to be like super strict, but I do have my gavel right next to me. So watch your time. You don't have to be like super, like, I don't want to scare you or anything. You don't have to be like super straightforward or like serious about it. It's a fun problematic, okay? So are you ready?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. If SkillsUSA was a reality show, what reality show would it be? Or what would it be titled and why?
I think SkillsUSA would be closely related to Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and not for the exact reason you think it is, but that's one of the shows I actually watch. And I think it would be because I relate to SkillsUSA to the most professional people you can think of. And the Kardashians are professional, but you also think of them as like these famous like figures. And that's something I want SkillsUSA to be known as, a real famous organization. And I think if I become a state officer, I would like to show the organization to as many new people as I can, and especially 9th graders. Like, I think that it's great to start off as from a young age. And so, yeah, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, because in my eyes, SkillsUSA is kind of like a luxury organization and like really like VIP pass only type of organization, which is cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I see it like that too. All right, thank you so much. Our next candidate is Miss Melanie Aguilar.
Hi everyone, I'm Melanie Aguilar. I go to Dubisky Career High School. I'm currently a junior. I started off in SkillsUSA my freshman year, and I became an officer at my school, just small little chapter officer. And then I'm in the graphics communication pathway, and we have a print shop at my school where the juniors and the seniors get to work with customers and do print jobs for them, like banners and stuff. But unfortunately, since of COVID right now, we're not open to the public, but we've been doing a lot of jobs for our district. And I'm also I have an interview actually next week, I think, for an internship to work at the print shop over the summer.
I have a question. So like you said, you had an internship. How will Skills USA help you prepare for that internship interview?
Well, starting like my freshman year when we interviewed to be officers, I had never made a resume. I had never like had an interview, just one-on-one. So going into that at first, I was very scared, but throughout the years, going into skills has helped me so much. Like not even just my workplace skills, but also my personal skills, building up my confidence and my motivation to keep wanting to go to school. And I go to school a lot just because right now I'm a virtual student, but I do go to school just for my CTE class, so I still get that hands-on learning. So yeah, thank you. If you were to walk into a room and find a younger student inside panicking before a competition, what would you say to them? I've actually had a situation like this happen before, but it wasn't a competition. It was just a regular school day. And I walked into the bathroom and there was this girl, she was sitting on the floor and she was crying and she had the door locked and I kind of just knocked on it at first. I'm like, are you okay? And she's like, sniffling and everything. And she's like, yeah, I'm okay. I'm like, are you sure? And she kind of sounded like she was hyperventilating. So I asked her if she could unlock the door and I sat on the floor with her and we kind of just talked about what she was going through. And I found out she was having a presentation that she was really nervous for next class. So I kind of just told her, just breathe in and out. We listened to some of her favorite songs so she can try to, calm down. And honestly, just breathe is one of the biggest things, because I know when you're having an anxiety attack or a panic attack or anything like that, is just breathing and focusing on something to take your mind off of something.
I have a question. How have you been able to bring what you've learned from Skills USA into the graphics classroom?
Thank you so much for your question. Well, I competed my freshman year for sublimation, which is a heat transfer for, you can do like mugs, t-shirts, anything like that. Right now we're doing masks because of the pandemic. And I competed my freshman year and unfortunately I didn't make it into state, but that made me want to practice harder on that skill. And so I went throughout the school year practicing on that skill. And next year I went again and, competed. And unfortunately I didn't make it again, but I still love sublimation so much. And this year I actually got to judge one of the sublimation competitions. And I kind of used how I was competing before to judging. So.
Melanie, how do you plan to advocate for the organization on a virtual platform?
I think since everything is virtual and we have a lot of social media going on nowadays, that I feel it would be a lot easier because, right now we're campaigning online. So we have Instagram, we have Twitter, we have Zoom. So I don't think it would be that hard to get all of us together and communicate like right now what we're doing, and setting up a lot of Zooms over the next course of the year. If things are going to be virtual again, I feel like wouldn't be a hard thing to do.
So kind of going off of MJ's question, is there anything that our team has done this year that you would change or add to? In terms of like being on a virtual platform?
I feel like okay, no disrespect to any of you, but just maybe just get a little bit more out there on social media, because I noticed a lot of you when you were campaigning, you were very active on social media, and I didn't know a lot of you. I only knew about Troy because he goes to my school. So when all of you started following on me, I was like, oh, okay, they're campaigning, and I was a voting delegate. So kind of seeing you guys campaign taught me a lot. And then after campaigning stopped and everything, you guys kind of just fell off the earth and everything. But then when we would have meetings, I would see you guys, so I knew of you and everything, but maybe just be a little more active and try to communicate more with other members.
All right, so I have an important question that I think also other candidates, when you're going up, this is something you should definitely try and answer in your introduction. But is there anything specific to your campaign that you want to address within Skills USA, or a specific goal that you have?
Specific goal I have right now is just to be able to inspire and encourage and motivate our members, because some of you have done that for me over the past 3 years that I've been in skills. I know for me, going into my freshman year, I know nothing about skills, and the seniors from my pathway came in to talk to the freshmen to get to know us, and they were like, oh, you should join skills. And I was like, oh, well, what's skills? And they talked to me a little bit about it, and I just looked to my friend and we're like, well, if you do it, I'll do it. And we kind of just went from there, and we signed up and we're like, all right, let's compete. Sure, why not? Do you have plans after high school, and how will skills help you achieve your goal? Okay, I think those were the same questions. Okay, so I really do plan to be a graphic designer after high school and kind of just pursue working in a print shop, because I feel like at my school, I've gained so much experience through that. And then on the skill side, I've also been able to learn the professionalism side, the workplace side, and then work on my technical skills as well. So I'm going to bring all of those into the workspace. So when I go out and graduate after high school next year, I'm going to be able to get a job, because not only do I have the technical skills provided for me by my school, but I also have the professionalism that skills help me grow throughout the years.
All right, Melanie. Well, thank you. Thank you for your answers. Next candidate is Ms. Emma Pope.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Emma. I'm from Dubisky Career High School also, and I'm in the health science pathway. So I don't exactly know what I want to do in health science, but I really have a passion for that. And at my school, I'm also an officer, and I'm on the student leadership team. So I have leadership experience through that. In my free time, I like baking, and I also like going outside and biking and being active and that sort of stuff. I'm the oldest sibling. I only have one sister. I love spending time with my family and my friends. So that's just a little bit about me.
All right, Emma. Well, it's good to see you. And I just wanted to ask, how will you use some of the skills that you've gained on the leadership in helping you be a state officer?
Yeah, so good question. I've gained a lot of leadership skills because I joined the student leadership team like towards the end of my freshman year. So I just kind of got put into a whole bunch of situations that have helped me learn more. I've definitely learned how to speak to people more. Like almost everyone here, we definitely couldn't imagine having the confidence to do this originally. So my leadership experience has helped me with that. I'm trying to inspire more people and grow more leaders. So I've learned that. I've learned a lot from a lot of amazing people at my school, other student leaders, advisors. So just that experience of being on a team, I feel more prepared. I could translate that over into being a state officer pretty easily, I think.
We do have a question in the chat. And then it is, what is special about Skills USA compared to other organizations?
That's a good question. I like that Skills USA encompasses multiple pathways. So I'm also in HOSA, which is a health science specific organization, and I'm a leader in that too. But I like that this is like a broader audience. So I get more experience talking to other people, and it focuses on things not only specifically related to your pathway, but just personal skills, workplace skills, that just feels more prepared on skills organization. So it's just a special organization to me. All right, why did I join Skills USA? Well, my school is very focused on career and technical student organizations. So it's definitely like expected and encouraged that you join something. So I was kind of put into that place. I was hesitant, but I've always been someone who likes being involved in stuff. So it ended up being a great thing for me to join. And so people came around, talked to us, encouraged us to join. And I'm like, why not try it? I'm glad I did. I've learned a lot from being in it. And then, what do you plan to achieve as a state officer? So as a state officer, I hope to just create exciting things for people. I want to represent people. I want to have more information and share that information. So as a state officer, I'll bring that back to my school, back to my district, and I'll just inspire more people to join Skills USA and encourage them. How will you make Skills USA a top priority if you're also involved in other organizations? Yeah, so I'm definitely involved in quite a bit of stuff. I definitely work on my time management skills. Skills USA, though, is my top priority. I have people around me who are accommodating to that. So I would just let them know what's going on with me, how to manage that. Skills USA would be my top priority, though. I'm more focused on the academics and organization side of this side of my life, so I would prioritize that over other things. All right. Social media and other virtual platforms are essential to campaigning and engaging with members. How would you use this virtual world to meet your goals as a state officer? Oh, sorry, I skipped a question. I'll answer the next one after this. I would make the virtual world help me reach my goals, because through virtual stuff, we can overcome differences of being all in different places. So I could just reach more of an audience through social stuff, and it would just be pretty easy to go continuing on in the virtual world, because I've gotten used to it since we've been online for so long. Hopefully we'll get more experiences in person soon, but I would just continue to try to make experiences as exciting as possible. And even though it's difficult, we would just persevere through this time. And if you heard someone talking bad about Skills USA, how would I handle the situation? Yep, that's an interesting question. So there's definitely some people who kind of doubt Skills USA. You know, they kind of look at people in red blazers differently, and you just got to address it as, okay, I accept that you have a different point of view than me, but you can also try to show them the positives of Skills USA. So I would just talk about my experiences, and if they still disagree with me, I think that's their loss, but I would do my best to try to encourage them. Any other questions?
I have one. So you've kind of mentioned like general framework skills that you've grown in, but what's a specific soft skill that you've had huge development in your time in Skills USA?
Yeah, a specific soft skill, I guess, would just be confidence, talking to people. I'm definitely become hyper-focused on details and anxious about things, but in Skills USA, I've learned quite a bit more about talking to people. Like at school, in the student leadership team, we present to other like elementary and middle schools, or give tours around our school. So I would just learn how to communicate with people. That's a main thing that I work on. How do I think my campaign is going? It's going really well. Regardless of whether or not I get elected, I'm so glad to have the experience of campaigning and to try something that's outside of my comfort zone. So I'm just happy to be here campaigning right now. My favorite Skills USA memory. So I've never gotten to go to state competition because I'm a sophomore and state conference was virtual last year. You know, we didn't really have it. So my favorite would have to be district competition from last year, just hanging out with my friends and going to my competition, which I competed in medical terminology last year and this year. And I just had a great time actually going to an in-person event and seeing my friends, meeting new people.
All right, Miss Emma Pope, thank you so much for your answers. They were awesome. Our next candidate is Mr. Mohamed Abdul Nabi.
Hi, my name is Mohamed Abdul. I go to Dibisi Career High School. I'm in the dentistry pathway there. I'm a junior. I have a little cat. Her name is Baby. You know, she's a fluffy little demon, but she's still cute. You know, I would say, any questions? Oh, one thing I want to address, one thing that is specific about my campaign would be the impact that I would try and make on members or just with my state officer team. Because I would say that I thought of myself as not being capable of doing this, but my advisor, my friends, and everyone around me, they said, just go for it, just try it, just because you never know how far you're gonna get until you try. And I made it this far, and yeah, so far it's going good. So yeah.
All right, Mohamed. I'm going to, Mr. Jennings asked a really good question, and I'm going to say it. How do you plan to get more males involved in leadership roles?
I plan to get more males involved in leadership roles because that's a good question. More males. I would say trying to encourage them to do it with their friends, or try to encourage them to go out of their comfort zone, or go into something that they would like to do, so that they don't think too much of the pressure of it, but just going into opportunities and positions that would encourage them to gain more leadership skills. And I think that would be the best way to make more males join the leadership role. What do you like to do in my free time? I would say I'm a basketball player. So if I just have any time to go to the gym, get some shots up, or just relax and play video games with my friends, or just hang out with friends and family, I'll say that's important, because your friends and family, like the environment that you're around them, it would say they encourage you the most. So, and it's fun. Yeah.
All right, I have another question.
Yes, ma'am.
Why is SkillsUSA important to you?
It's important to me because whenever I first saw it in freshman year, I wasn't really planning to join it. I was just like, I'm just trying to chill my freshman year and not do nothing. But once I walked in school, I saw these people like red blazers. I was like, wow, I want that jacket. What? Yeah, I saw that. I was like, and then I found out more about the organization. And once I found out about the framework and how they handle things, I started going to meetings. And it made a big impact, not only on myself, but on my skills. And I would say it's important to me because I want to give back, but in my own way, which is providing as much as I can on the state officer team.
All right, thanks.
No problem.
All right, I have a question.
Wait, really quick, Tanner, Alejandra raised her hand.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Good, Tanner.
Yeah, go ahead. Alejandra, go ahead.
That may have been an accident.
Oh, maybe. Okay.
So if Tanner wants to.
Oh, all right. No worries. Okay. So, Mohamed, what is your favorite essential element and why? And how will you apply that to your term if you're elected?
Do you mean is as in the framework? Like which yeah.
Yeah, in the framework.
I would say considering the pandemic that we're in right now, I would say adaptability and flexibility is probably the most important one, because everything now it went to virtual, so learning how to do that and adapting to changes from in person to virtual, you're gonna have to change some things and learn. And technology, we learned a lot, every single one of us, how to do things and things like that. So I would say yeah, adaptability and flexibility would be my favorite skill, because it also changed me as a person, because it would teach me how to change and adapt to certain situations. So yeah.
So going with adapting to the pandemic, how do you plan, if you are elected as a state officer, to move on and continue on this virtual platform?
I would say the state officer team currently, they did a very good job of moving everything from in person to virtual. So good job on that. I would say, just like how the other candidates have said, social media campaign is probably a big way to provide more influence or campaign for anything in Skills USA. Because one share can go to one person, they can share to 10 people, which is a very big difference.
Definitely, but what about beyond the campaign?
Can you rephrase that?
So after you're elected, hypothetically, in your term, what would you do as a state officer, after you're done campaigning?
Okay. I would say I would try and encourage members to go for things, to go for whether it's competition or go for a position in Skills USA, whether it's district or chapter or state officer, for example. Encouraging them and making them realize just how capable they are, because I would say that's something that I relate to, because I thought of myself as not that much capable, but I started doing things. I forced myself to do things, which opened my eyes to just how capable a person can be. How does basketball add to your leadership skills? Well, whenever I played basketball in middle school and like at the beginning of high school, my coach would force a few certain people like every week to step up and make, whether it was a play or a certain defensive change in the game. I would say I would encourage my teammates, just hustle, just go after that ball, whether you have to dive or just keep on playing defense or just push until you just get that shot in. Just always encouraging and giving that hustle, but not only in basketball, I would say to everything, because that really changed how I thought of things. So, yeah.
All right, thank you, Mohamed. No problem. Our next candidate is Mr. Evan Martinez.
My thing on? Yeah, hope it is. Hello, my name is Evan Martinez. I'm from District 13. My career pathway is also audio and visual. Always been a fan of that. Ever since a little kid, seeing cartoons and how, like watching a football game, I'm saying, well, obviously you can't just have one camera record the whole thing if there's like multiple camera views. So when I remember seeing the news thing and I saw them looking at a bunch of screens, that really did interest me, like how things like that are made. I started doing Skills USA because I was told to. Not really told, but asked to. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to do it, of course, because opportunities matter. Like, they matter a lot. If you don't take an opportunity, then you don't know if it's going to benefit you. And, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. If there's anything I'm going to do as your Skills USA officer, I want to better Skills USA in any roadblocks that might happen. I know I can help and understand with everyone else and build a relationship with my fellow state officers, more not as teammates, but as a family, and fix any goals that we need to get to, whether it be a huge project or the most smallest project there. I'm open to any questions.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I was just going to say, when I was a freshman and I was first introduced to Skills USA, we had Skills USA Texas had sent out a group of surveyors, I guess, to ask us questions about our Skills USA experience and what we wanted to know more about Skills USA. And one of the questions that they asked us is if we knew about the Skills USA framework. And at the time I was like, framework, you mean like a picture frame or what? I didn't really understand it. So if you were talking to a freshman who didn't understand the framework or didn't understand Skills USA, how would you describe it to them?
Just like how I said in my speech, the framework is a key importance of motivation and structure to us. Like a building, you can't build a building without any structures or foundations. Build a house on sand, when a storm comes, it'll fall over. Build it on a rock and it'll stay there. The framework is a great foundation for everyone because the foundation builds up a person. Technological skills and anything on the framework you can relate to, and if you don't relate, then it's you have to build up on it. It teaches everyone how to become a proper person in the workforce to help your employer and your fellow workers. It's, you know, like the word frame, it's like a picture frame. In order to hold up the picture, you need the frame. And every single building, whether, you know, be the most tallest or the most smallest, it needs a foundation, and it's the key importance to that makes us Skills USA.
So with the framework, do you have an essential element that you feel like you've grown a lot in during your time in Skills USA?
Thank you for the question. I would say the communication skills. My communication skills, they weren't really the best, but you know, I can't say that, you know, I was the most antisocial person out there. I feel like I'm a really social person, but talking to huge groups or very important people like our state officers, I find it really hard to like talk to them because I feel like, you know, I'm such a small little man compared to them, right? But this campaign and everything has taught me, you know, you don't have to worry about it, Evan. Like, you got this. If you want to be a state officer, then, you know, you have to talk to your fellow state officers. And I feel like communication, especially in the framework, is extremely important because if you don't know how to communicate, then how are you going to expect to get things done? Just like our questions that we were asked before, communication is key. If we do not know how the other people feel or their opinions, then how are we going to help each other out? Because if we don't say what we want to say, like if I don't like where a project is going, and they do it anyways because I didn't say anything, well, I can't blame them for doing that. The only person I can blame is myself because I decided not to talk to them. Was there another question? Because I'm on phone and it's really hard to see messages.
Sorry, I can read them out from the chat. So Riel asked, how do you make Skills USA a priority with other activities in your life?
How do I make it a main priority? Activities, I would say, because everything has an importance to it. No matter what you do it with 100% of your passion and your work. You don't go to do something and give it like 10% because what's the point of doing it if you're only going to give it 10% of your work? Just like Skills USA and any other opportunities I'm given, I give it my 100% because I want to reflect my parents off of me, and they've always told me, hey, if you're going to do something, if you committed to something, you're going to commit full way. Skills USA teaches me, and as my parents taught me, that there were some times where I wanted to quit midway, but I kept pushing myself because passion is a huge, huge, huge thing, a part of the human, you know, our minds and our you know, ourselves. Without motivation, we can't go anywhere. It's like a car without gas. You only give a car 10 miles of gas, you're only gonna get 10 miles. But if you give it the full tank, you're gonna get a lot further than just 10 miles.
So your next question from Andrea is, how do you plan on achieving your goals?
For myself or with like fellow state officers or with anyone around me? Well, you know, I'm gonna answer.
Interpretation.
Okay, I'll do the best I can. Nah. But my personal goals is to succeed in life. Of course, everyone wants to succeed, but I want to really succeed because I was taught that I need to be better than my parents because every parent wants to see their child succeed past them, right? And to do it, I need other people to help with me. just like state officers, you don't elect the president and he or she does everything by him or herself. I feel like everyone needs communion together. I was taught that, you know, no man or woman can go anywhere without communion. Communion is a big thing. To achieve my goals, I would find people to help me in every single way that they can, and I will find every way that I can help them in any way that I can. Because, you know, treat others the same way you want to be treated, and, you know, I don't want to be a leech taking up all their support and not provide it back.
All right, and then the next question is, what do you think separates you from the other candidates?
Obviously, my charismatics. Nah, I feel like I'm a very, you know, I feel very charismatic. Like, I can probably convince you to buy a vacuum cleaner you don't even need. But I feel like that's really big. You know how I said about the framework, the communication skills. I feel like I've really, really built up on that, because I feel, you know, talking to someone, you know, getting to know them, you can't help them if you don't know them. It just helps you in every single way you can, and in life. And, you know, in order to separate myself from everyone else, I would say communication. There may not be some people who could understand you completely, but I want to take the time to understand everyone in SkillsUSA. So I don't, you know, we don't make decisions that make other people feel uncomfortable because we didn't take the time to listen to them. I feel like, you know, we have to take everyone's opinion, because everybody's opinion matters.
All right, your last question is going to be, which part of the framework do you feel you can work on?
Let's see. I feel like, you know, how do I say this? Technological. I know I say like, hey, you know, I'm supposed to be tech savvy, right? But, you know, I can always improve on a daily basis. I don't feel like there's something called perfection, because no one can really be perfect, and a skill cannot be perfected. Although, you know, I am really good with technology, it is always better to learn more and keep going at it, because if you stop midway and say, yeah, I'm good, something's going to happen and you're not going to know how to do it, when you could have kept going and going and going and building and building and building, and you would have known it because you decided to continue going. So technology is a big thing. Like, I didn't even expect to use Zoom. I really didn't, but learning Zoom really does help in a lot. Like, I lead a home church service for Zoom. We read the Bible every single day, and learning Zoom was really, really good. And then, you know, teachers using Google Meets, Blackboard. Technology changes on a daily basis. You may not see it, but it does. And I feel like I can continue building off on that, so I can not only reach other people socially, but bring people together.
All right, thank you, Evan. Our next candidate is going to be Ezekiel Martinez. Oh, wait. No, wait.
It's Marquez.
Marquez, sorry. I read that.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Ezekiel Marquez Garza, and I am from District 13. My most loved passion besides SkillsUSA is tennis. Although COVID caused many restrictions, I still play and am absolutely in love with it. On my free time, I enjoy spending time with my family. They are my most valuable possession, and I hope to make them proud. A way that I would want to make a change in this organization is by recruiting new members, the most important part of SkillsUSA.
All right, well, I'm going to start you off with, if you had to take an essential element out of the framework, which one would it be and why?
If I would take any element from the framework, I would definitely take communication. I feel like the framework has taught me that communication is key in any situation, whether it be good or bad. If you have good communication, it strengthens the relationship between you and the members. So I feel like I would get communication from the framework.
And I'm going to go back up to a question that was asked to a previous candidate because I really like it. It was by Vanessa Ramos. Which part of the framework do you feel you can work on?
I feel like I could work on my personal skills. Personally, I feel like Skills USA has given me a foundation of time management, and the personal skills have helped me be a better component to better Skills USA. And that's why I would want to be in personal skills.
So I apologize if I butcher this name, but Sol Santana asks a really good question. And the Skills USA theme this year is Champions at Work Empowered to Succeed, I think. So she asks, how has Skills USA empowered you?
Skills USA has empowered me by giving me confidence. I feel that before I wasn't a confident person at all. You know, people struggle with insecurities. People struggle with not being vocally stable. And Skills USA has taught me that everyone has the opportunity to be who they are and to chase their dreams. I feel that Skills USA has taught me that more than anything.
Awesome. Okay, so another question from Sol Santana. If you were to present to a class about Skills USA who had no idea what it was, how would you encourage them to join?
I would simply tell them that this organization just provides opportunities. Not many organizations do this to students, but Skills USA helps you succeed after your high school experience, after college. They just help you after what you've been preparing for, and that's vital for your life, I feel.
Our next question is from Brielle. Why is Skills USA important to you?
Skills USA is important to me because it gave me the opportunities that I'm being presented right now, such as running for district office, running for state office. I never imagined in a million years that I would have the opportunity to be wearing this red blazer right now. And overall, it is important to me because it just provided me with opportunities that I would never have imagined that I would be presented.
Awesome. And our next question in the chat from Margarita Garola is, how will you work with your team, if elected, to settle/resolve our disagreements?
The best way to solve disagreements is by using communication. Communication is key to solving disagreements because you get to hear both sides of the story. Although I would never take a side, I feel like it would be vital for me to be hearing what the other person has to say, but also for the other person to be hearing what I'm trying to convey. I feel like that's the best way to resolve disagreements.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
What unique ideas do you have in order to continue advocating for Skills USA?
That's a great question. Not many people know what this organization is about. And I feel like to advocate is, again, by using social media platforms. Those are the biggest platforms we have right now. And by providing more announcements, more posts, more stories about Skills USA, we will be able to inform more members about our organization.
Do we have any more questions?
Oh, I was going to ask a question. So something we've had to learn a lot about this year, especially me and Troy, we have very different learning styles. I kind of look at big picture. He's very picky with the details. So if you were to run into different learning styles on a team, how would you address a project going through that?
The best way I would try to do that is by providing multiple like lessons lessons in order for the students to be able to learn. Many people learn by visually, they have like the visual learning, or others learn by vocally learning. And I feel like that's what we need to be bettering in our organization, the way students grasp onto these types of requirements / knowledge you need to have. And overall, I feel like it's more about pictures, more sounds, more color. That's what this organization needs.
All right, we have time for one more question. Let's see. What are 2 of your overall goals that you have for your term if you were elected?
My first goal would be recruiting new members to this organization. I feel like we should have more members because this organization is opportunity. And if we can present more opportunities to more students that are not receiving these opportunities because they are not in SkillsUSA, then it would be a great impact to their lives. The second thing I would fix about SkillsUSA is advocation. I feel like not many people know what SkillsUSA is about. I can still be walking around my school and people are like, why is he wearing that red blazer? Like, what is that? You know, and I just feel like that's something that we need to start achieving more on and resolving overall.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our next candidate is Miss Jade Boss.
Hi, I'm Jade Boss. I'm from District 10. Something about myself. I have a cat. Her name's Jean. Call her Jeannie Beanie. She's adorable. I have 2 dogs. One's a black Labrador mixed with a pit bull and a white husky. She's about 10 years old now, though. I participate in a lot at school. I was never like that in my childhood because I came from a very different background. That's why a lot of people underestimated me. Now I participate in JRTC, Emerging Leaders, and of course my law club, which I am also an officer in. Yeah. Oh, I'm the second oldest out of all my siblings. Question.
So kind of the first thing you're asked as a state officer is, what plans do you have for your term? So if you were elected, what specific plans would you have?
So some of my specific plans once I get elected are, of course, spreading SkillsUSA throughout my school a whole lot more because of people do not know what it is. And I've had that situation before, even with people who don't come to my school. Another goal would be like improving myself. Of course, I'm going to push others to improve themselves as well, but I want to make sure my future is secure.
So one of the biggest hurdles that I had to overcome when I was running is getting over my self-doubt and believing in my capabilities, and kind of running my own race and not worry about what other people are doing and just do my best. So what would you say is one of your biggest weaknesses or hurdle that you've had to jump over in this process?
One of my biggest weaknesses was I also had a very hard time thinking that I would be able to do something like this. I always underestimated myself because everybody else underestimated me. My advisor once told me that, I know I mentioned this on my story, but my advisor once told me that I shouldn't let other people underestimate me, that I should reach for the sky. And that's what I plan to do.
From the chat from Brielle, we have, what are your career goals for after high school or college?
So after high school, I plan on going into the military. I I will serve 1 to 2 terms of 4 years. In the military, I will want to become a military police officer working in the K-9 unit. But after that, my main goal is to become a game warden.
I have a question. So in your introduction, you did mention a lot of other organizations you were in. How do we know that you can contribute 100% if elected as a state officer?
I know I can contribute 100% into this organization because I already do. A lot of stuff that I'm already in, of course I contribute to it, but most of all I contribute to Skills USA because Skills USA is the most important organization to me right now. And I love participating in Skills USA.
All right. I have a question as well. If someone was bashing Skills USA at a social event or at any event, how would you handle that?
Of course, I'd listen to their opinion on the reasons why they don't like it, but I would also give them reasons why other people like it, like myself. I will let them have their opinion. I will respect their opinion, but as well, I will represent and say, like, a lot of people don't think that, and I myself don't think that. I will try to change their mind, but if their opinion stays the same, then that's theirs.
All right, so we have a question from the chat from Margarita. So what has been your most impactful memory in Skills USA?
My most impactful memory was last year when I competed in my first competition. My first competition was also CERT. It was just Community Emergency Response Team. I did it with my team. And with that team, I learned so much with them. Not only did I have a lot of fun, but they taught me how do I explain this? They taught me how much confidence I could have in myself, how much leadership I could have. And not only that, but they taught me that I'm not someone who should be looked down on.
And Sol has their hand raised, so if you want to hop in and ask your question.
Yes, I have a question, and I actually had around the same question as I see District Dio Brielle Kellens. I'm pronounced correctly. I'm sorry. You mentioned earlier that you have leadership roles in your other organizations and clubs that you're in. How do you feel like that has prepared you to take on, if you get elected, a leadership role in Skills USA officer?
I feel that all those other roles that I participate in have prepared me for this role, this position, because in those roles I learned leadership. I learned, of course, leadership, but I learned how to communicate effectively, even with the patience. I learned a lot of patience, but I was never patient before. And with the effectively communicating with my team, I learned how to incorporate other people's opinions and views into an actual situation. And doing that, I learned that people are different. They're gonna think what they want to think.
Okay, thank you so much. Our next candidate is Ms. Elena Ariano.
Hi, so a little bit about myself is I'm a junior at the Seminole High School, and I am in the CTE classes of Auto Tech and FFA, or like the ag class. I want to be a veterinarian when I grow up, or like when I'm older. I think like I've always wanted to be that for my whole life, and ever since I was little, I'm not really I don't really participate in other things other than skills. I like giving it my full attention, and yeah, that's a little bit about me.
So just to clarify, because you mentioned FFA, do you not compete in FFA as well?
No. I've thought about it, but I'm just like, I don't really have interest in like showing animals or anything.
So, Elena, what encouraged you to run for state office, and what encouraged you to join Skills USA in the first place?
So what encouraged me to join Skills USA was my advisor and my friends. I think I said this in my speech, but I joined Skills USA because my friends were competing or like getting prepared for their competition. And I just kind of like went with them and like helped them out whenever they needed the help. And I was like, you know, like this seems really fun. Like I kind of want to like do it. And I decided to join or run for state officer because I wanted to like reach out and step out of my comfort zone a little bit more. And I thought it would be like a really good opportunity.
I have a question. What does the motto mean to you?
I'm sorry, the what?
The motto?
Oh, it means like a lot. I think it has like a lot of importance, and I think it has a lot of importance, and it's like a good thing to go by. I know like me and my like chapter, I guess, like we kind of like help each other out and like by saying it. And, yeah.
I have a question. So I noticed you're also with your friend. If she did not get elected and you did, how would that affect your contribution as a state officer?
It would make me really sad because I know we were like going in this together, but I would still stick with it. And I know she would still support me and like wish me the best with it. And I would still try the hardest I could with the responsibilities.
So Brielle asked, what is your strongest soft skill?
I'm sorry, can I have like an example of a soft skill?
Communication would be one, decision making.
I think I'm sorry, I just cut you off. I think communication would be because I don't know, like at first, like I used to not be like very good at communicating, but I've gotten a lot better with it. And I like to really like voice my opinion and listen to other people's opinion and really get to know what people are thinking and their ideas.
And within skills, do you have one, MJ?
No, I was gonna say last question, but you can.
Oh, okay. Well, that works out great. Does any delegate have a question before I ask mine? All right. So what experience in Skills USA has caused you to grow the most as a leader?
The experience is probably running for district officer last year, mostly district officer last year because it was more in person and it took a lot of courage, and it's really like I think that was this big stepping stone for me to learn to step out of my comfort zone the most and really get out there.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our next candidate is Miss Sarah Tykerobe, which is right there.
Hi, I'm Sarah Tykerobe, and obviously I also attend Seminole High School. And a little bit about me is I am a part of a really big family. I have 6 other siblings, and I also have some in-laws and my niece and my nephew, which are probably the joy in my life because they're crazy. And I participated in choir and tennis before, but I don't do that anymore. And mainly why I joined Skills USA was because going into high school, I was the kind of person like, I know what I want to do when I'm out of high school. So I kind of wanted to just go in, get the stuff I needed, and go out, which after hearing about Skills USA, I was kind of second guessing that, and I was like, like this might be something that's very beneficial to my future and for helping me grow in the future that I want to go into.
All right, I want to start this off because I also have a niece and nephew, and they are absolutely the light of my life. Let's say they see you in your red blazer one day. Well, how would you explain to them what Skills USA is?
So I've actually thought about this before because I want to be a good role model for them because of how much of an impact they have on my life. And I would tell them that Skills USA is a very good opportunity to not only explore yourself, but explore your opportunities that you have. And it really shines a light on everything that the world has to offer, and it can help you overcome challenges to get where you're meant to be and get where you want to go.
All right, so we have a question from Brielle. What are your plans for after school?
After high school, I want to attend college at UIO, which is a university in Norway, and I want to become a surgeon.
Okay. What unique ideas do you have in order to continue advocating for Skills USA?
Well, as it was part of my speech, I had the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air theme. And for me, the reason why I picked it is because Will Smith, his story is about coming from a background that wasn't so good, people always talking down on him and all this and that, and him growing in himself to become a better version of himself and got to where he was. And I was planning on trying to incorporate that into campaigning and advertising for this.
All right, so question from Andrea. What would you do if you saw another member in a different competition struggling? What would you do to help?
I would just sit down with them, tell them to take a few deep breaths, and then tell them how also I've struggled and how I can relate to them in that if I was able to overcome it and me just being a normal high school student here like everyone else, you can overcome it and there's nothing too hard for you. Life doesn't throw stuff at you that you can't handle, and you'll always be able to overcome that and get through it.
Vanessa has her hand raised or had.
Her question's in the chat.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Do you want me to ask her? I can ask her.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Okay. What's your favorite part of the emblem and why?
The favorite part of the emblem to me would probably be the torch because it represents knowledge, and Skills USA is a great way to not only provide knowledge in technology skills like the framework skills, but also the knowledge in you and everything that surrounds you and how it incorporates your life.
Another question from the chat is, if you had to choose between your niece/nephew's birthday or a Skills USA event, which would you choose and why?
That's really hard. I would choose the Skills USA event because although my niece and nephew are the pride and joy in my life, I know that my family members will be there taking millions of photos and videos and stuff to where I can relive that experience. But Skills USA, competitions and stuff, are kind of a one in a lifetime thing. And I know that they'll have another birthday next year and all that. And so I think I would pick the Skills USA event. And also by becoming state officer, you are making that dedication in yourself and to your team to be there when they need you to.
All right. Sorry, you want one more question? We can ask her one more question.
Okay, shoot me.
So should we ask the question from Soul? So now that Skills USA competitions are virtual due to the pandemic, how do you plan to get more people motivated to participate with the new restrictions if they are still in place next year?
I think this is kind of a perfect question for me because my project or my contest is community service, and it's a very hands-on project. You know, we have to go out, talk with people, and we've had to do that virtually now as well. And you also have to have what we hold, and you have to be doing things in person and all that. And so it really drained our motivation as a team in the beginning because we didn't see how we were going to accomplish everything with all the guidelines and procedures. But we were able to get through it and actually have a very good outcome, and we're very excited to compete and everything. And I think I would use my own experience and kind of help motivate others and saying, like, I have a very hands-on, and I know most of Skills USA is very hands-on, but I know that with growing technology, we can find new ways to innovate and have more resources for that.
All right. Thank you so much, Elena. Our next candidate is Miss Lila Window.
Hi, I'm Lila Window. I'm a freshman at Canyon Lake High School.
Lila, we can't really hear you that well.
Hold on. Let's try it again. Hi, I'm Lila Windle. I'm a freshman at Canyon Lake High School. My passion is animals aside from Skills USA, and I couldn't tell you how many animals I've had in my lifetime. So anything like that, I guess. It's hard for me to talk about my experiences because I'm a freshman. So
I have a question. So I don't know whether or not you've served as a district officer, but if you haven't, what made you decide to skip all the way to state office?
actually, I was elected for a district officer this year. At first, I was really skeptical about the whole Skills USA program, but after some training, I guess you could say, from my teammates and my advisor, I was slowly becoming a bit more passionate about that. But after I heard the one sentence that my advisor said to all of us, he said, "I'm proud of you for trying." And I couldn't get that out of my head. I just had to make him proud, and I had to make my teammates proud. And after trying for so hard, I've been telling myself, why not go a step up?
So we have a question from the chat from Brielle. Do you feel discouraged being younger than many of the other candidates?
Actually, yes, I do. I've seen many people on Instagram and on Facebook asking other people lots of questions, but I've found myself where I'm not being asked as many questions, but I can still answer all of their questions that they are being asked. So even though I'm not being asked as many questions or anything like that, I'm still able to take that leap of faith and put myself out there.
Awesome. And our next question is from Andrea. What part of the Skills USA pledge is the most important to you and why?
I can't really pick part of it.
Your audio cut out again.
I can't really pick part of the pledge. A lot of it is mostly just a lot of it means so much to me to where I can't choose a part of it. So if I was given the dilemma of choosing, I don't think I could.
All right, and then this next question is from Mr. Jennings. There are a lot of students like you that are afraid to take the leap of faith. How will you deal with it if your goal isn't met?
year, I've tried so hard to get to where I am. And if I didn't have the support from my family and my friends, and of course my teammates and advisor, I would never be where I am today. So taking that leap of faith isn't just me taking the faith or taking that leap. It's the support of my teammates and my friends and family and my advisor, and I couldn't be more grateful for that support.
That's awesome. And I'm actually going to ask one of my own here really quick. So one of the great things about Skills USA is that we have so much diversity in our state and across the nation. You know, one thing that our team has really tried to embrace is the diversity in our background and even our thinking processes. So if elected, how would you try to support all members in Skills USA?
So I've learned from my middle school experiences and from this past school year that everyone thinks differently. From learning how to deal with different situations to their mental health, a lot of people take that differently. And whenever someone comes to me, I try to be as open as possible. My best friend, she likes to hear it's okay. But there are other people who like to hear a solution. So I've learned that the diversity of the different people is how you need to learn and how you need to communicate.
And then we have one more question from the chat. Ooh, what are your goals for after high school?
I've been given many different options this year. I do know that my ultimate goal is to become a Texas game warden. As I said, animals are my passion, and sorry about that. As I said, animals are my passion, and I hate seeing the people, even in my own community, abusing what they have. Coconut. Coco. Hold on. Coco, what are you doing?
I like the name Coconut. It's really
so sorry about that. Okay. So as I said, animals are my passion, and I want to educate people on how to properly handle anything. I like seeing the release of wild animals, and I want to help my own community and preferably the whole state. But as we all know, Texas is a very big state.
Okay, thank you so much, Lila. Our final candidate is Miss Lindsay Landman.
Hey guys, my name is Lindsay Lammon. I'm a junior at Wiley East High School. I've held several officer positions at the chapter, district, and state level, and so I want y'all to ask questions regarding my candidacy, regarding my personal life, anything like that. Just to include some hobbies, I play tennis, I play volleyball. I'm an NHS and NTHS, so I'm really involved in the career and technical field, especially at my school. But I'm also part of your state officer team this year, so I really want to outreach to you guys, and that will be part of my goal this year as if reelected, to outreach to members even more on this virtual platform, since this year was a little odd and we we kind of figured it out, and then I want to take the next level this year by extending more hands and giving you students more opportunities on a virtual platform. So a question from Naomi is, what has being a state officer taught you? And honestly, it's hard to pick one thing. Being a state officer, like I think I was the youngest member on the team, and so I definitely had a little bit of a maturity gap. And so trying to catch up not only in Skills USA knowledge, but in my professional development and becoming the same amount of a leader as the rest of my team was definitely something that I hadn't recognized before. And so just working with my fellow team members, especially online, we're spread out all over Texas. And so being able to communicate online and working together in that setting has definitely been a learning curve for sure. So yeah. From Mr. Jennings.
And Sol raising her hand.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Sol.
So being a district officer and a state officer this year and having to deal with the pandemic, and what are your plans for helping more people join Skills USA even through this pandemic and restrictions?
Right. So my plan is using, as my other candidates have said, using Instagram as a virtual platform to reach out. But I also think taking examples from the national office, such as having seminars and webinars in order to progress some of the members' Skills USA knowledge, and in order to connect with members that aren't necessarily competing, but are still members, in order to get that outreach. And even if you're not a member, just welcoming them to join the seminars and webinars to get to know the officer team and get to know a little bit more about what Skills USA is would be some of my main goals of this candidate or this officer team. From Mr. Jennings, you once gave up your right to compete for another activity. How hard was that decision? Last year, I was going to miss the state state conference because I was committed to a volleyball team first and we were traveling. And so I had to give up my first place win at district in my individual competition to the second place winner in order to fulfill that commitment to my volleyball team that I made prior to district competition. And so that was really hard for me. And I will say that honoring my commitments is something that I pride myself on. And I promise to you that if I make a commitment, I will follow through on it, no matter how hard the decision is for me to make. My commitments to you guys are so important to me. So yes, it was hard, and I'm willing to do the same thing for Skills USA as well. What is your favorite Skills USA value? That's kind of hard. I have a liking for all the values at Skills USA, and I really think that's a good question, and I will email you to follow up on that question with you as soon as I look into it a little bit more. Do you have any regrets in your Skills USA career or journey? You know, I really don't think I have any regrets, and that's kind of a big statement, but looking through all my steps in my Skills USA journey, I think I've really kind of had the path a little bit paved for me since my dad is my advisor, and I've been involved in Skills USA since forever. I mean, I've always had it in my life, and I think a big part of growing up with Skills USA around me was seeing the older members that my dad was advising succeed in their competition, but also go on to succeed in life. I've seen them graduate and then go to college, come back and get jobs in the career pathway that they were in Skills USA. And it's cool to watch them grow up like that and see not only them succeed in Skills USA, but also in their career pathway later on in life. If you were slammed on a wall, how would you slide down the wall and why? I love this question. I think that if I were slammed on a wall, I would stick to the wall and leave little bits and chunks of me on the wall as I fall down. I want to be able, as a state officer, to leave part of me with you as I move on in my term. So even next year, or the year after my term is passed, if elected, I want to leave just a little bit of me with the members and give them a little bit of myself as well. What is your strongest soft skill? I would say probably my strongest soft skill would be self-motivation. I'm really motivated in Skills USA, and I really have worked very hard to make myself motivated. And obviously competitions are fun, but when you get to the nitty gritty, especially this year of being a state officer, waking up at 6 a.m. to have a meeting isn't your favorite activity. So having that self-motivation to push through those 6-hour meetings, or to get up at 6 a.m. to meet with your officers to get a job done efficiently, is something that I've worked really hard for. And so I think that my strongest soft skill would be self-motivation.
All right. Thank you, Lindsay. So everyone, that is your Meet the Delegate session.